And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Nerdsters of the Universe. I'm Kerwin.
And I'm Pizza.
I'm Crashley.
And Crashley is always in the background.
Been a fun week, huh?
Yeah, it's been busy to say the least.
Busy.
I can imagine.
Crashley
Get her pictures I sent her?
I believe so. She hasn't shown me yet, though.
Oh, okay. I was waiting to see what she said, but that's okay.
Are they boobs?
Did you look at them?
No.
She hasn't looked at them yet.
Oh, well, here.
She's been busy.
Oh.
Busy.
Here's one I did.
I was actively looking for my phone.
Ooh, nice.
Are they boobs?
Mm-hmm.
And I did this.
That is really pretty. What does the stuff say? Boobs, tatas? Oh my gosh, they're words for boobs. What's the one with the K there?
Where?
I'm trying to point.
Down here?
Yeah.
Knockers.
Oh, love it.
Knockers, pillows, jigglies, jumblies.
Where? Right there. That one right there. Because you can obviously see she walked away when you showed that one again.
Of course.
She's got it on her phone. She'll
see them.
Hey, babe, while you're there, can you hand me that stack that I got?
Bills? What?
No, that stack I got last week. Star Trek stuff.
You say stack like you only have one stack of shit in this house.
Ain't that the truth?
Where is
it's over there in front of the desk. So did you watch Andor yet?
You know what? I started to watch that today to see, and I don't know what it is. I'm going to keep trying. It just seems very slow to me.
It is very slow. I mean, they're going with the more serious note type thing.
Oh my God, serious doesn't have to be boring.
When I was first watching it, I was getting a huge Blade Runner vibe with it.
Mm.
But as I kept watching, I was getting more of just a serious show.
It's not keeping my interest. I mean, I'm trying to see.
I'm the same way with that. Like I've said in the past, like Lucasfilms needs to come out with more content that's not just sci-fi Star Wars, and Marvel needs to come out with content that's not just straight action superhero movie show type thing.
It just seems like anymore like they're just putting something on and slapping Star Wars just to do it.
Yeah,
granted, it's another prequel. This is supposed to be 5 years before Rogue One and A New Hope.
It is the first show, though, that we actually have a timestamp on the beginning of it.
Yeah, when they say it. That's what's
none of the other ones, even in the opening crawls and stuff like that, they never really said exactly how many years had, gone by. It was just an assumption.
I mean, Rogue One, we knew Rogue One. We knew that.
Yeah, all of them were just assumption things. This one straight up says, boom, 5, BBY. 5, Battle Before Yavin. So
yeah, I'm just I tried. I'm trying. I tried to watch it. I watched House of the Dragons today. I caught up on that.
I have not caught up on that one.
I'll tell you, Matt Smith, boy, he plays a good prick, doesn't he?
Yeah.
God.
I've watched the first few episodes. I'm not a fan of the time jumping.
Well, it's like going a year or two at a time or months at a time, but
well, no, it's like the first 2 episodes are like a few months, and then
they went a couple years.
It's like 2 years, and
it's like every 2 years. She was 15, 17, 19.
I'm like, come on, there's some time, there's some stuff that happens in here you could have been showing us, It's and at the same time, I'm prequeled out.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this one a little bit, but I'm still seeing the whole, the backstabbing, I don't know. I didn't really watch Game of Thrones because I really hate the Lannisters. I really, I want I'm still on season 1, like episode 7.
Yeah.
The only one I skipped ahead to was to see King Joffrey die.
Yeah,
When he died.
Game of Thrones had me hooked, but we're at an age of prequels right now.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the latest Star Trek live action Star Trek we had, Strange New Worlds prequel, Andor prequel. Now, talking about Andor, my only issue with Andor, I watched all 3 episodes. It is an entertaining show. It is more serious. There is a lot more characterization with it, you know, character building and stuff. So I enjoy that aspect of it. But and I think this might be where you're at with it too, possibly, is it's not sci-fi enough.
Not just that, I can even handle the not.
grounded.
It just doesn't seem like Star Wars, number one.
Because it's not sci-fi enough. I mean, that's the whole thing. It's
I don't know. It just seems like they made a show really fast, you know, to try and put something Star Wars out until the Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all them come again.
Ahsoka and them, yeah. I'm giving it a shot because, like I said, I watched the first 3 episodes and it appears to be building up.
Yeah, that's why I'm keeping watching it. I mean, if this was like a few years ago and I started this, I'd have been like done with it after the first episode. I'm trying to see where they go with it.
Well, if they go where I hope they're going, it's going to be awesome. What I hope they're doing is I hope they're going, okay, we're gonna have so many episodes. The main character is going to be the guy that, you know, gave his life in Rogue One. So we're going to use the first 3 episodes that we're going to release up front to give him sort of an origin story. So the whole show doesn't have to be his origin story. I believe that's what this is.
Hopefully.
The first 3 episodes were basically his origin story going from what he was to what he becomes.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that, I mean, the show is based on him. It's called Andor. He's going to be the main character. But I really hope the show dives hardcore into the creation of the rebellion, into the rise of the rebellion. Sort of the stuff when you're watching Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Sort of that side stuff. You like, you know, you'll see the rebellion people come in, do stuff with the rebels, you know, from that cartoon, and then go off and you're like, I want more of that. I want to see what's going on that end, you know. And I'm really hoping that that's what it boils down to. I hope they do a lot of tie-ins, like stuff that Rebels built up, you know, getting this for the rebellion, getting that for the rebellion, and you didn't really see where it went. I really hope it builds that into it. You know,
I'm waiting for some of the other shows. Like I'm still waiting for Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie was telling me they cast the live action Ezra for the show. So I think that'll be done pretty well to see what's going on with her.
Well, yeah, it's straight up going to be a sequel to Rebels. Which
I mean, I know it's more. It seems like they're setting it up between her and Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Well, but did you watch Rebels?
Some here and there. I didn't watch the whole.
You didn't watch the whole thing?
No.
Well, at the end, the way Rebels ends is it ends right before A New Hope. Somewhat. The final episode has a time jump. Like it has an ending of the storyline that's it's building up to, and then it has a prologue time jump. And basically Ezra's fighting Thrawn. And the way he defeats Thrawn is he gets both of them, him and Thrawn end up getting sent somewhere throughout the galaxy. That's how he defeats the plan that was going on. Is he utilizes whatever, it's some creature or something that they're in, and it's like a space worm or something that does hyperspeed on its own type thing. I'm trying to go off memory here. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But he goes on. And then from that point, the prologue is narrated by, what's her name? The Mandalorian.
The only Mandalorian I can think of would be Bo-Katan.
No, not Bo-Katan.
Sabine.
Who?
Sabine.
Yeah, Sabine. It's narrated by Sabine. And the prologue is, you know, what's going on. How, you know, it's basically he left and then everything, and then she goes, and then the Empire fell, and it's, you know, basically their little celebration from the end of Jedi.
Right.
And then at the very end, Sabine's standing there, and Ahsoka comes up to her and says, "Let's go find him." And it ends with Sabine and Ahsoka leaving to go find Ezra. And that is what Ahsoka's show is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about them going to find Ezra. That's why when you see her in Mandalorian, she's looking for Thrawn, because if they find, if they're having a hard time finding Ezra, they know the other person that he was with was Thrawn. So if they can find Thrawn, then they can find Ezra. And what I'm assuming they're doing, because I don't foresee Sabine being a huge character in the show. I foresee her being in the show, but I would assume that it was a divide and conquer situation.
Yeah.
You go look for Ezra, I'll go look for Thrawn. Cover two, hide and find out. And because Thrawn is Thrawn, obviously you would send Ahsoka to go find Thrawn and Sabine to go find Ezra. So I'm really looking forward to that show. But yeah, Andor is.
Yeah,
like I really hope it builds up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep watching it to see where it goes, but if it stays like on the note it's on now, it's a little.
What it's going to have to do, what Andor is going to have to do, is it's going to have to bring in new characters that are pertinent to the show.
Yeah.
Because we know his fate.
Yeah, we know what happens to him.
And the other problem with knowing his fate is when you watch Rogue One, he's not that likable of a character.
No.
He was a dickhead. That was one thing that Rogue One didn't really do for you, was make you feel bad about, like, you felt worse about the robot dying than you did about him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I was wondering why they would go with this rather than,
Well, when if they bring the robot in, I can't remember his name, the droid. They bring the droid in.
Yeah,
the show will pick up because he was awesome.
Yeah, he was fun. He was,
So I really foresee it. It's Andor's journey, and I get it. Cassian. It's Cassian's journey. I see it having potential. I'll give it a shot. I truly believe that's why they released 3 episodes up front, is because they knew that if they just did the first episode without the other 2,
I would have been like
going to hook on. It would have been like, this is but it was basically releasing, let's do his origin, throw it in there. Let's end with spoilers. Let's end with him going off world.
Yeah,
which you can't really spoil. He goes off world.
He goes off
to get the plans. I mean, come on, people. But again, it's hard. Just like Obi-Wan, the only thing that makes Obi-Wan exciting to sit down and watch that show is because it's Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's like that. Those 2 characters, you got no. Give me content to them all the time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Cassian Andor wasn't that big of a character for me. Like I said, he was like, I'd be more excited about a show about her father.
I would have been, she was technically the main character. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't. Well, she they probably could have done more with it, but
they don't like I said, hers. I would have had more fun with a show about her dad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But in the end, it was a good door to open to have a show about the rebellion. So, and I hope that I hope that's where they're going with it.
Okay. My favorite thing today was Lower Decks. I can't say enough. I know it's the cartoon. It's not everybody's thing, but oh my god, I love it. I was giggling through it again today. I mean, and they did a new ready room for it too, because I guess they're not doing one after every episode because it's like a 20-minute episode, but it's halfway through the season. They're on episode 5. They did, and it had Will Wheaton and Tawny Newsome, the one that does Beckett.
Okay.
And she was on there. And it's the Easter eggs they throw in these shows. Next week is supposed to be the Deep Space Nine episode. They didn't show a clip They said even the littlest clip has Easter eggs and spoilers. They just showed an image, and it showed him walking on the promenade of Deep Space Nine. So I can't wait for next week. I was like a little kid, like.
I might just hop in just to watch that episode. I don't know.
Yeah, I know they're saying Prodigy starts again, but I me and I couldn't even do I couldn't do it. It was very.
I watched some of Prodigy.
Yeah, I watched,
and it is an excellent kids cartoon.
It is, yes.
I want it to exist because it gets more kids interested in it.
Exactly.
Because I enjoy the fact of people having open minds to be interested in something. It's so much better than when you get people like, you're like, hey, did you watch Strange New Worlds? Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a Star Trek. Oh, Star Trek. I watch that sci-fi crap. Like, what am I supposed to do? Sit down and watch reruns of ER or Beverly Hills 90210? I mean, come on.
God.
Like, seriously. So
it's funny when you said that, because we were listening to Robert Picardo talk once, and he was joking around, and it's even on, he did a CD of him singing different songs, and he would always talk about Voyager ending, and he called Enterprise Star Trek 90210, joking around. He said the younger cast on Star Trek 90210. And in his voice, it even sounds funnier, but I mean, Prodigy is good for the kids. It's like a preteen level show. I like Janeway, and I like the arc they're going on. Like, I saw the previews. It might even be worth checking out a couple episodes if nothing else is on.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Strange New Worlds. That's going to be big this season.
Oh, yeah.
But I watched She-Hulk. I think this week was kind of a filler episode.
It was, but I think they're kind of trolling people because everybody's waiting for Daredevil to come in. And I think IMDb tried to say that he's already supposed to be in it, but he's not. It's like everybody's hoping to see Daredevil in it, and he's just not there yet. And
even before I watched it today, I was like, "Yeah, I got to watch She-Hulk for if we go live tonight." And Robbie was like, "Yeah, Daredevil's not in it." He said, "It doesn't matter. It's a filler episode, whatever. No Daredevil yet."
It's She-Hulk. That's the thing. I see people complaining all the time. I see people complaining on Facebook and stuff where they're like, "We don't even know who the main villain is yet." It's a fun sitcom show.
Right.
It doesn't need a main villain. Like, it's
they
a sitcom
show
comedy.
Like the I guess the post-credit scene or whatever today, showing the lab, and they got like a bigger needle to try and get through her skin.
That wasn't a post-credit scene. That was just the end scene.
Well, yeah, I guess
last week they didn't do post-credit scenes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the end. They do like a wind-up, then they do like something pertinent because it could be an after credit, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at that as being, we know who they are.
Yeah.
We know exactly who they are. We know what's coming just from those different snippets they put in there. If you're looking to go, who's the big bad as She-Hulk, it's obviously going to be the Thunderbolts. Yeah. And they're not really a big bad. It's going to be the people behind the Thunderbolts. They're trying to get the gamma DNA so they can start making their own.
Yeah.
And I mean, sadly, William Hurt passed, so we're not going to have the person who would have been an amazing Red Hulk.
Yeah.
But I really hope they recast him and still give us Red Hulk. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't see why not.
What? Robbie's like, wait, who's behind the Thunderbolts?
They revealed the MCU's Thunderbolts, and it's a cast of nobody's favorites. We got Captain Canada. We got American Soldier. We got...
welcome to the comic books. The Thunderbolts were the same thing.
Yeah, the comic book was the same
nobody's
thing.
favorites.
No, it's just
they were the Thunderbolts.
They were like the B crowd.
No, but they're the B crowd from the B movies. They're like C crowd.
The Thunderbolts were sort of, I don't know, I want to say somewhat of Marvel's Suicide Squad in a sense, but not completely. It was a team that General Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, was creating to try to capture the Hulk.
Right.
And they played around with Hulk DNA, and even Thunderbolt, General Ross becomes a Hulk. He becomes the Red Hulk.
Right.
But it's not, they were characters that weren't popular. And the kicker is, and if Robbie can hear me, see, the kicker is, Robbie, is
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if a character's popular or not. There's still people that like the character.
Yeah.
You know, the minority can like a character.
Yeah.
You know, and that's fine.
You know who I'd like to see as the Red Hulk? Sam Elliott, because he was in the first Hulk. He was the general in the first Hulk movie.
Oh yeah.
Sam Elliott, you know, with that voice and his thing, I think he would do good.
He would do good. Want his age a little bit.
Well, he's supposed to even John Hurt, you know.
William Hurt.
John Hurt's the
Okay, I got
War
the
Doctor.
image of the Thunderbolts.
image of the Thunderbolts.
These are the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, it looks like U.S. Agent
Mm-hmm.
and all
It's
that.
U.S.
Yeah.
Agent, Taskmaster, the Winter Soldier, Captain Canada, whatever his name is.
Well, the Winter Soldier I like.
Well, yeah, he's the only main one. They
US
have the
Agent?
villain from Ant-Man 2. Black Widow, I think is her cousin. I never saw that movie. The blonde one.
You never. It's Black Widow. It's her sister. She's the Black Widow in the comics. I mean,
Yeah.
she takes over for Natasha in the comics as Black Widow.
Right.
The thing is there are going to be people out there that hate certain characters, and they're going to push and push and push the hate. But I liked the way they did Taskmaster. I liked Natasha's sister's Black Widow. I'd have to cast U.S. Agent was almost exactly like he was in the comic. He was the perfect asshole.
Well, did you see
trying to be a good guy? You know what I'm
did
saying?
you see what's his name? Kurt Russell's son, Wyatt, the one that played U.S. Agent.
Yeah.
He's been getting death threats for his character.
Yeah, but his character was played beautifully.
Perfectly,
I mean,
yeah.
The thing is people see it and they're like, oh, it's just like She-Hulk. So many people are giving hate on She-Hulk.
Yeah.
We're not getting giant superheroes. It's a sitcom. You're not supposed to get giant superheroes.
No.
You're not supposed to get giant supervillains. It's just a fun show about someone who's got powers that doesn't want to be a superhero.
I mean, there's even people writing stuff about, oh, Stan Lee would be turning over his grave, She-Hulk twerking. I'm like, no, he wouldn't. That's the character.
He wrote Stripperella.
He wrote Stripperella, for God's sakes, for Pamela Anderson.
And Stan Lee didn't even create She-Hulk. So
it's you know, everybody assumes everything Marvel is Stan Lee. Most
and
granted,
if it were Deadpool sitting there twerking, everybody would be eating it up.
yeah.
That's so hilarious, you know. Like people are hating to hate and they're trying to push other people to hate. I think it's great that they're giving B characters because I mean, look, DC needs to take a page of the book. They keep trying to redo the A characters over and over and over again, and it's not really working for them.
Yeah. I mean, you can see Marvel is whoever is organizing Marvel, and the way they're doing it is earn his money left and right, his or her money, whatever. Feigl, whatever his name,
Feige.
Yeah,
Feige, whatever.
Like even with throwing Shang-Chi in there, and you know the Doctor Strange thing. Every Doctor Strange is still a big character, but
Miss Marvel. I mean, they're going with a lot of the newer characters too that I know very, very little about because I wasn't a fan. I got out of comics towards the late '90s, early 2000s, somewhat because I wasn't a fan of the artwork. The way they were drawing stuff. I mean, I was still reading some like Spider-Man and stuff, and then the moment they took Spider-Man and did the whole One Last Day or whatever, where they made it to where Peter and Mary Jane weren't together anymore, and like that whole history was erased.
That's
I was done with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, even Superman, even there for a while in the late '90s, early 2000s, it seemed like they were giving every new art student a chance to try their style in the comic.
Exactly. I just was not a fan with a lot of the artwork, and don't get me wrong, you know, some of the artwork of the '90s wasn't great, but
it wasn't bad. It's when they started getting late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and
they had someone doing like watercolors for Superman. You know what I mean? It was like, come on, dude.
Exactly. So I cut back quite a bit then.
Have you? You've seen Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Yes.
With the Rob, every year since we're getting close to Halloween, I'm gonna have to make sure I put our Halloween costumes up on the site. Robbie comes up with the obscure comic, you know, characters every year for Halloween. Last year he was Raphael with the trench coat and the hat on when he was in disguise. like the year before that, he was Gotham by Gaslight Batman, the older Batman.
Mhm.
This year, he wants to do Sweatpants Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse. The out-of-shape Spider-Man with the belly sticking out, the mask, and the sweatpants. Like, because, neither one of us are in amazing shape anymore, So, but I'm like, see, that's original. That's some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? Right, he's 18. Anna's, going to be 17.
She's already tired of it.
5 2/5. Even Matthew, you know what? And they want to go trick or treating. I don't care when the older kids come up trick or treating. They're staying out of trouble. They're having fun. And they come up with the ones that come up with like T-shirts and a sock around their head. Come on, dudes. But like when he's taking the time to think of a really cool costume and go out, I don't mind with that.
Yeah, everybody should be able to have fun.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I know we were talking about the haters on the email and stuff like that.
yeah,
I'm still. It was hard to be a Star Wars fan, even though I'm like more towards Star Trek. It was hard to be a Star Wars fan after this last set of movies. Not because of the movies themselves.
the fans.
The fans. Even after Obi-Wan.
The gatekeeping is so horrible.
Oh, my God. Let that woman... so what? She's African American. There's... When people say race, the first thing you got to remember is human race, man. We're all... Just because someone evolved somewhere different on the planet, their ancestors... come on, dude. That's the kind of...
We're talking the world of Star Wars and Star Trek, buddy. It's more than just a human race.
I know, right?
Sentient life forms.
That's exactly. I mean...
That's what it boils down to. It's
at the conventions, yeah, I do Klingon. I've done Vulcan for events. I've done,
Here's what I've realized diving into it. It's not the majority.
No, it's only the loud.
It's the loud
1%,
minority.
The loud 1 or 2% that just has nothing better to do than sit on their keyboards and cares
and then more people read it and go, oh, everybody's thinking this way. And then you get the susceptible ones that go, I need to think, yeah, I can see where they're coming from with that. Oh, because all you have to do is make one valid point.
Right. You throw one thing that sounds like it's okay, and then
it questions the whole thought. It's like a prime example is I was reading I saw one of those little Instagram things on Facebook today, and it said a person buys a cow for $800. They sell that cow for $1,000.
Yeah.
They buy the cow back for $1,100, and they sell it again for $1,300. How much did the guy make in profit?
Oh, wow.
And you go in and read the comments.
Yeah.
And you start seeing people that's like, well, I was thinking this, but now I'm second guessing because of this and because of that. And it's like, don't let stupidity make you second guess your actual answer.
No.
Like, come on. I put a comment on there. I'm like, man, you people better hope the IRS doesn't read these comments. There are going to be a lot of audits. Because you have people be like, seriously? No, you got people going, oh, he only made $100 profit. No, he made $300 profit. No, he only made $200 profit. Like the dude made $400 profit, guys. He bought it for $800, sold it for $1,000. That's $200 profit.
Right.
Then he turned around and bought it for $1,100 and sold it for $1,300. That's another $200 profit.
Right.
That's solely what it is. He had zero loss. Zero loss in both transactions.
Yeah, because he sold it both times for more than he bought it for. So.
Exactly. And when he bought it the second time, he used $200 profit that he had made from before, and added $100 to him. But the only investment he has from the beginning point is $900. $1,300 minus $900 is $400.
Right.
His profit is $400. That's what it is. People are like, no, he had to reinvest another $100. So you got to take $100 out of it. No, he made that $100 back when he sold it.
Yeah, whoever came up with Twitter should rot in hell, man. I was on there for a little while because I was like trying to keep, up with things, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I'll sit and watch my cat videos on TikTok, but
but no, it's just you see that, and so many people are arguing. And at the same time, guys who make these shows, I feel sorry for them because they can't please everybody.
No,
Look at Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. God, I'm loving this show, man. Again, another prequel.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. When it comes to Middle Earth, there's so much there they can do everything with.
Yeah,
I'm loving this show. Is it exact? No. Is it compressed? Yes. Is it going to have everything and every little character's in it? No.
no.
Why not? Because they don't own the rights.
Yeah.
They have the ability to make prequel shows. This was their loophole. They don't have the rights to remake to bring forth the stuff from Letters of Tolkien and the Silmarillion and the Unfinished Tales. They don't have the ability to do complete, this is based off the Silmarillion. This is based off the Unfinished Tales. They don't have the ability to do that. They do, however, have the right to make prequel shows to the to the works of the writings that they've already adapted.
Yeah.
So they can make prequels to The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which in turn can be used in that. An example would be, have you been watching Rings of Power?
I'm about an episode behind, an episode or so. The last one I watched ended with the woman talking to, you didn't see the father or whatever. You said the elf is here, and then it went off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're on the island. They're on the island nation. The only thing that's getting me is they called the one guy Isildur.
Yeah.
So that's the Isildur?
It's the Isildur, yes.
Okay.
Rings of Power is a compressed timeline. And what I mean by a compressed timeline is they're compressing thousands of years. Because the Second Age of Middle-earth is like 3,500 years.
Yeah.
They're compressing that to hundreds of years.
So we already know then that Isildur's the one that's going to defeat him but keep the ring and, you know. Okay.
Isildur's dad is the one who founds Isengard.
Right.
Not Isengard.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Isengard. God. The city in Gondor.
Yeah.
What is the name of
Rohan. There's Rohan. No. Gondor.
The city in Gondor.
Not Rohan. Not.
Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith. God. I know. Brain farted.
I just watched it the other night too. So,
but he's the one who founds Minas Tirith, and his brother finds the other city.
Right.
And yeah, there's so many different things, but they've changed it throughout. You go back and watch Lord of the Rings. They've got Arwen standing on the other side of the river, causing the river to take out the ring wraiths. When in the books it was her dad, Elrond.
Yeah.
They've changed so many things, and it's compressed, just like in The Hobbit. They compressed the timeline in The Hobbit. You had where Gandalf goes to find Thorin's dad at Gullar Dune or whatever. That happened before he ran into Thorin because it's how he got the map and the key.
Yeah.
But in The Hobbit, they compressed it and had it as he's doing this on his own time, and they left some things out. Tom Bombadil was left out in Lord of the Rings, in Fellowship, when they're on their way to when Gandalf's being held at Isengard.
Yeah.
They left out the journey of the Witch King. The Witch King's sitting there fighting battles and wars and everything during all this time. When Gandalf was held up at Isengard, the Witch King was going to Isengard to catch him. And when the whole battle at Weathertop, Gandalf was at Weathertop and fought the Witch King, or fought the wraiths before, Frodo and company got to Weathertop. And that's why the Witch King was able to, they had it to where the Witch King came in and then stabbed him. No, the Witch King was already there waiting.
Yeah.
They didn't really, it was, so they've done changes in the past, so you can't be upset when they're changing the prequel.
No,
they can't sit. Yeah, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying
they
can't sit down and go, okay, we're going to do this and this. They're going to, quote, trample on lore. It is what it is. What's up, J. Rob?
Hey, there he is.
Hi, Jude.
There she is.
Hi, Jude.
There's our girl.
Yep. Hopefully she's got the new addition sitting here listening to us getting all nerd and
get that nerd on now. Let's go.
Oh, Judy nerd.
That's what we have to make him a little lower decks thing to send to her.
But yeah, it's like so many people are, the biggest thing is who's Sauron? Which one's Sauron? Is Sauron the elf leader of the orcs that are doing their thing?
Yeah.
Is Sauron already on Star Island? Is he the guy that showed up with Galadriel? You know, and you've got some diehard fans that are like, I really hope that's not Sauron. That better not be Sauron. That's just too obvious for that to be Sauron. Like, you know the stories. So
Yeah.
if it's actually obvious to you, then you should be okay with it if you're wanting a correct adaptation.
Right. I'm still the one behind, so I don't know if they're even saying who the guy is yet.
The next episode, they give an idea of who the guy is.
Like, spoiler wise. I mean, are they saying it's Gandalf or somebody?
Oh, you mean the Traveler?
Yeah.
He shows up from the sky? No, they haven't said who he is. Actually, the Harfoots aren't in the next episode.
Oh.
The next episode doesn't touch that at all. So the Harfoots aren't in that. What I want that to be.
What's it?
Gandalf sat in front of him while he was at a date. You were in London watching a play, and he was eating out of a loud bag of chips. Gave him the evil eye.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Are you talking about Sir Ian McKellen? You gave Sir Ian McKellen the evil eye, J-Rob? And yeah, Jude's
Nice.
there. He says, hey, fellow nerdsters.
Hey, there he is.
Sir Ian McKellen's allowed to eat a large bag of chips.
Yeah, he's earned it.
You should tell my voice.
We're going to talk about it.
What are we talking about?
Well, we're still talking about Rings of Power.
Yeah.
So, you know, my hopes, like, you get so many people going, oh, it's obviously Gandalf. And there are some things I'm okay with changing, but if they make that Gandalf, I'll.
Yeah, he isn't supposed to be around for quite a while yet.
Gandalf doesn't show up until the Third Age.
Right.
That's why when he suspects that Frodo has that Bilbo has the Ring of Power,
Yeah.
he has to go research it because he wasn't there to know what it was.
Right.
He gets sent to Middle Earth in the Third Age. All three of them, the three Astari, Gandalf, Radagast, and Saruman. Saruman shows up first in the Third Age, then Radagast and Gandalf.
I thought Radagast was last. I could be wrong. It's been a while.
It was one of the, I can't remember exactly which one, but they all three show up in the Third Age. But Saruman was on there quite a bit earlier. However, there were two others, the Bluesies.
Yeah.
The Blue Wizards. Those two Astari showed up in the Second Age. And they can't use their names because their names are never mentioned in The Lord of the Rings.
No.
They're not mentioned in the appendices. See, that's a big part they can get from the appendices from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and other information. But they were never mentioned. However, they can use the characters because in both The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, the two Blue Wizards are mentioned. Both of them. Saruman mentions in The Lord of the Rings that there were 5 Astari. There were 5 wizards. And then in The Hobbit, when Bilbo's talking to Gandalf, he's like, how many wizards are there? And Gandalf says there are 5. There are the 2 Blueses, there is Radagast, Saruman, and myself. And he couldn't in The Hobbit. I can't recall their names when he's talking about the 2 blue wizards, and that's because they can't use their names because their names weren't given names until the Silmarillion and Letters from Tolkien, and Unfinished Tales. That is when. But I really hope that the Stranger is one of the Blue Wizards. And the beautiful part about it is they can have the Harfoots give him a name. Like they can have. Here's what I want to happen. I want the Constellation to be the meeting place. They can finding the Constellation. Like you two Astari are going to Middle Earth to help. Sauron, Morgoth was defeated. Malcor was defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Malcor, they renamed him to Morgoth because, you can no longer have this name. You're no longer one of us.
Yeah.
Morgoth's defeated. But one of the most powerful stories that went, his right-hand man, Sauron's coming up. So send these 2 Astari to go help. And everything. I'm hoping that, because it shows different things, but we don't know how many fell. It could have been 2 falling, and they just, we saw 2 different ones fall. We only saw 1 land.
Right.
And the Constellation could be their meeting place. And the beautiful thing about the Harfoots giving him a name is it can be a name no one's heard of, because the anything that was written down there's very little of Hobbit history in writings, because a bunch of them didn't really know how to write. That was just something that only a few did.
Mm.
And a lot of those, at the same time, a lot of their tales and a lot of their writings got lost during the Great Migration. See, a lot of the Hobbit clans were like the Harfoots and the other two. I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
They were on the other side of the mountains, like where they're, I'm assuming where they're at now in the show, closer to what becomes Mirkwood. Once Sauron's forces start taking over,
Then when they move, yeah.
and it starts becoming Mirkwood, the hobbits migrate across the mountains to the areas that is now the Shire, Hobbiton, and all that.
Yeah.
Bree was one of the first Hobbit settlements, stuff like that.
It's been over 30 years since I've read the books. So.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and the hobbits really didn't have a lot of writings put down until they befriended the Dunedain and some elves, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure the show's not going to have in it. Like an example would be one of the reasons the Dunedain lived for so long. Like you look at Aragorn, Strider. You look at him, and he lives for a long time. And a lot of people will go, "Oh, it's because Isildur had the ring." But no, they lived for a long time too. The Dunedain lived for a long time because of who they're descendant of. They are descendant of Elrond's brother. Now again, not sure if it's going to be the show because this is all from other writings. Elrond and his brother fought in the war against Morgoth.
Right.
And as a reward for what they've done, the powers that be, the angels per se, the same race that Malcor, that Morgoth was, was like, we will give you a choice. You can continue to be an elf, or you can be more man-like. You can have the gift of mortality. Elrond decides to continue being an elf, and his brother decides to be mortal. Sort of like what Arwen does at the end of Return of the King when she decides to be with Aragorn. She's given the same choice. She can give up her immortality and become human-like.
Right. I think Lydia would definitely love the books. J-Rob. She would definitely, between that and if she read The Wizard of Oz, all the books of The Wizard of Oz too. That's not a lot of people know that there's all those different books to that as well. So
may help who be happier, the witches or the wizards? That's the question. You got to keep in mind the wizards are Astari and they're away from their home. They don't have a lot of their memories from their home, but they're basically deployed soldiers who, as long as they do their good deeds, they get to go back home.
Back eventually, yeah.
Across, back to.
I always wondered if that's how he became, like, from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White.
It is.
He ended up back, and then they sent him back again.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
When they sent him back, they allowed him to tap more into his natural power. He was only able to use so much of his natural power, and when he defeated the Balrog, see, Radagast, we don't know a lot of what happens to him. A lot of Radagast's fate. Mm-hmm. He sort of does his own little thing. Sauron, we know what happens to him. He turns. But Gandalf always stayed on track. He always did what he felt was right, and he did his mission. I mean, they had an idea of what their missions were. And when he defeated the Balrog...
Jude's loving it.
when he defeated the Balrog, he died, essentially. He left his Middle-earthian body and was taken back.
Right.
Back at home. But then they were like, they sent him back and allowed him to take his other body back, but allowed him to have more of his power, so then he became the White Wizard. Which is funny because people of Middle-earth felt Gandalf, in their eyes, they saw Gandalf in a higher light than they saw Sauron. a lot of people feel that Saruman, like part of Saruman's turn was his jealousy against Gandalf. When Elrond created the White Council,
Yeah.
with, Galadriel and them, he, decided like they wanted Gandalf to be head of the White Council. But Gandalf turned it down because he didn't see that as part of his, he didn't. Gandalf was a wanderer. That's why he has so many names. And he liked going to the Shire because the Shire, the hobbits entertained him. The hobbits, like he loved the hope of the hobbits. He loved their characterization. It was his little piece of paradise throughout a war-riddled Middle Earth, You go to all these other areas where they're fighting and worried about Sauron and the Witch King and all this stuff going on, but he'd go to the Shire and it was like a little vacation spot for him.
Yeah.
Place to go and have fun and relax away from all the turmoil and chaos that's going on. But
I do think it was something else too. They kind of hinted to, like when Saruman said, "You've grown a little fond of the hobbits, the little one, the whatever he called them, their leaf."
Yeah,
like smoking. Like I think he was, a little 420 there in the Shire. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. But and I mean that's.
Yeah,
it's also partly why. Yeah, it was one of those things, and at the same time, Gandalf always had this feeling about them too.
Hello, Queen.
Hello, Queen. Greetings. But
now we can't get any names wrong now.
This storyline, is a mashup, or it's a compression, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And that's where people are like, oh, it can't be Sauron. Sauron's got to be. Sauron's still in he's not on the island. He's back on the mainland because he's got to be tricking Celebrimbor to make the Rings of Power, and it's like Celebrimbor's already working on the forge, so he's obviously already had those conversations.
Yeah.
At this point, we can already assume that Sauron has tried to infiltrate Elrond and Queen, help me with his name. The guy who's basically king of the elves. Galifrendron, or he's the one who sent Galadriel, who was like, oh, you guys can go back to the east now, and sent Galadriel back.
Yeah.
Sauron already, we can assume that he's already tried to infiltrate them to go, and they didn't allow him. They didn't trust him. They were like, no, we don't trust you. We don't know who you are. Get away from here. And
Gil-galad?
Yeah, Gil-galad. Thanks, Hello Queen.
Yeah,
she'll be there. She's got me. Then we can already assume then he traveled and went to Celebrimbor or whatever to get him to make the rings. And now he's working his other magic, which at that point he will go to, he goes in the actual lore, he does make his way to Star Island. I never can remember the name of Star Island. I've always just called it Star Island.
Yeah.
He will make his way to Star Island. When that king dies and his daughter is not, it comes to being whether his daughter is going to become queen, the advisor that helped break up the rowdiness in the square and stuff like that. Numenor. Yeah, that's the island. The advisor, he becomes king. Now, the details of that storyline aren't going to be in this show. The full details, because they can't use the full details. You can tell they can't because they haven't. They have not talked. There has not been one mention of the Valar. Not one mention. So we can already assume that they're not going to talk about the Valar. They've talked about Malcor. They've talked about, Morgoth, who was one of the most powerful, Valar. But as being a full-on race in the whole situation.
Oh, sorry about that,
I'm sorry about the Halloween. Sorry. Yeah. They haven't really talked much about the Valar. So I don't truly foresee if they do it, hey, okay. But I don't fully see them having Sauron, they'll manipulate him. He becomes king, and then Sauron manipulates him to start a war with the Valar.
Yeah.
They have him go east and start a war with the Valar. And doing so angers the Valar, and they're the ones who destroy Numenor. And in destroying Numenor, that is where Isildur's dad and uncle found, they go to the mainland of Middle Earth and found Gondor and Alaqueen. Come on, what's the other town, the other kingdom of men?
There was Rohan, Gondor.
Not Rohan. Rohan was its own little thing. Rohan was the southern plains. It was its own in the history of Middle Earth. Rohan was actually on Morgoth's side. Those men were actually were on the bad guy side. They eventually came over to the good side. But it was Gondor and Arnor. There you go. Isildur's dad founds Gondor, and his uncle finds Arnor. They each build grand cities, and then eventually, one king type goes. After Isildur dies, other kings take over, and then the Witch King, within the Third Age, the Witch King actually challenges the king of the one of the heirs to a fight. He turns it down, declines it. Then a little while later, the Witch King says, do it again, and he finally he accepts it. He goes, and he's never seen again. Right. And then eventually, what we run into is you go into the Age of the Stewards, where the stewards are in charge. Boromir's dad, that's how he becomes,
right.
He becomes head of Gondor in a sense. And when throughout this time of the Third Age, Elrond is raising Aragorn and waits till he's of age and sort of proves his worth, and then lets him know, hey, here's Isildur's sword. Here's the ring that was given to his brother.
Yeah.
Elrond's brother. Here's a ring that was given to my brother. It's not a ring of power. It's actually a ring from the First Age. It doesn't really have much. It's just a ring, really. They never touch base on it. Yeah, they become the Dunedain. The ring, the line of the kings of Arnor become the Dunedain. Yeah. Because they're all descendants of a sense, not main direct descendants like Aragorn is. They're other descendants of Elrond's brother. It's the long age life because, but tells him that, and he has the scepter, but he doesn't give him the scepter. And he says, but then throughout that's when Elrond finds out that Aragorn fell in love with Arwen. They got married. And he tells him, he's like, you're destined to become king. He goes, you become king, I will approve.
Yeah.
You don't become, in everything. And then, of course, Aragorn does obviously become king of all men.
Yeah, that's how we started this Halloween. We knew they were compressing the stories for the new Rings of Power series. So, yeah, there's over 3,000 years that
there's 7,000 years of history. There's 7,000 years of history because you've got a little over 2,000 years of the First Age, 3,500 years of the Second Age, and 3,200 years of the Third Age. I mean, there's a lot.
But we're starting with the Second Age in this show.
We're starting with the end of the Second Age.
Right.
The end of the Second Age, because like you would assume, like Numenor, you would if you were at the beginning of the Second Age, you would have Elrond's brother who was king of Numenor. When Numenor, he was granted, okay, you are now basically human, and here is your kingdom, Numenor. Here you go, have fun. We're all of Numenor, and we're getting, because we're going to lead up to the final battle, and that's why it's a huge compression, because I mean some of these events that are unfolding, we talked about how the House of Dragon is like too many time jumps.
Yeah.
Rings of Power isn't doing time jumps. They're just going, instead of that happening 1,000 years prior to this happening, we're just going to have it happen days prior.
We're just throwing it all together, I know they're already talking about, for the House of Dragons, they're already trying to recast the main girl to be like
that's what Crashly was saying.
Yeah.
That's what Crashly was saying.
Yeah, and I'm already, that's all I can say about that show is, boy, Matt Smith is a great actor, or it's just a dick, because he's really pulling it off, man.
Yeah, and I'm okay somewhat with and like I said, I'm okay with the compressing. The only issue I have with them compressing it like this is it's obviously so close.
Yeah.
Obviously so close to the fall or to the end of the Second Age.
Mhm.
It's obviously so close to the battle of elves and Sauron. So what my issues are with it.
Yeah, I never watched Game of Thrones.
What my issues are with it is the casting of Elrond and Galadriel. Like,
Yeah.
elves live for thousands and thousands of years, and we can assume based off how it's been, the elves, they grow up faster. Like,
Yeah.
they grow up at somewhat of a normal speed. Like, you're not gonna if an elf's 5 years old, they're not gonna be 5 years old at 10 years. They mature at a steady rate, and then they just go. Once they hit maturity, they sort of level out.
Yeah.
And what's annoying me somewhat is it runs into the same issue we had with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You've got flashback scenes in Lord of the Rings. You've got flashback scenes of the battle of the battle of the Elven, the elf Sauron War, where Isildur cuts, and you've got Elrond standing right there, and it's obviously Elrond. And now you've got this time frame going on that's not long before the war, because you've already got Isildur in his early 20s, late teens. You've already got, now granted, they are Dunedain. They are descendants of Elrond's brother. They do live quite a bit longer, so you've got a gap there. You can still go 100, 200 years, but for the most part, it's like, what kind of what kind of growth does Elrond and Galadriel do in the next couple years to look like what they looked like during the battle that we saw? But like I said, we saw that with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. You had the scene, the flashback scene with Ian Holm as Bilbo, and then you turn around and have the new guy as Bilbo, and it's like, you look a lot younger. And they're like, well, he's supposed to look younger. It's 50 years earlier. Do you not understand the words Gandalf says? You haven't aged a day. He wasn't being nice. He was surprised because he hadn't aged a day. He had the Ring of Power.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. I know
exactly, Harlequin. They don't have centuries of puberty. They grow steadily. They grow somewhat normal, and then they basically
level off. Yeah,
they level off and hit their immortality in a sense. And I don't mean immortality is impossible to kill,
right?
But they don't die naturally.
Yeah, I know actors do, and we were talking about that in Game of Thrones. I'm on season 1, episode 7, because I started watching it after I started watching the House of Dragons, and I just can't. And the only episode I fast forwarded to watch was the one where it was King Joffrey then, and he died on his the wedding day or whatever that was.
And that's the thing, Harlequin, they may not age, but actors do. But the problem is when you find an actor, here's the situation. Like, you had Ian Holm looking like he's 50 years old in The Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Looks to be about 50, 55 years old in Lord of the Rings at the beginning, in Fellowship.
Yeah.
And then when you come out with The Hobbit, you get... I can't remember his name.
Yeah, but he was like in his 30s.
You get him, and he looks like he's in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
Like Elrond. Yeah, obviously the guy who played Elrond, it would be hard for him to play a younger version of Elrond because we're 22 years after filming.
With CG and everything like that, you can do whatever you want now.
Yeah, but you've got that. There's a budget with that. And you're not going to do an entire series.
Well, no, not
an entire CG de-aging. But when you cast a character, if you go, okay, this guy looked like he was about 35, 40, you don't turn around and cast somebody who looks like they're 20.
Yeah.
You find someone who matches. I understand they're looking, we can go next. But once you get the character, the character can age with you. Look at Supernatural. If you watched Supernatural from season 1 when it aired all the way to season 15.
Yeah, we watched
it. They stopped it. You didn't realize the difference, but then you go back and watch it. You're like, they're so young.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't notice it as you're watching it with them. And that's one of the situations that you can move on with it. And you don't feel like they're really getting old with you because you don't feel like you're getting old.
Well, Yeah, with James Bond, it's
Yeah.
always Bond, James Bond, 007. But
Yeah, with 007, it's one of those situations that I truly feel like 007 should just be a handle. James Bond should just be a call name.
that's what I thought. That's what I think they tried to do in one of the movies.
I
Like
feel
M
that's
and
how it should
Q.
be.
M and Q are just titles, not really the people, because there was a few different M's and a few different Q's. And
Hmm. And at the same time, making a prequel and casting another actor is fine.
yeah,
I loved Solo, and I liked, I enjoyed the actor they got to cast it. I love that movie. It's fun. It's sci-fi, but it's sci-fi fun. It's what I would expect.
I mean,
that style,
I
And
mean,
I was okay with the actor.
they did do when they did Underworld, the guy that played Lucian in
Yeah.
Underworld, the first one. Well, then they went back and made 2, Rise of the Lycans.
Mm-hmm.
10 years later, or whatever, how many years later they did
Mhm.
it. He had to play a younger version of himself.
Yeah.
So they did a little CG and they worked him out
A little makeup and stuff, which is fine. And like in a movie sense, there's a difference between movie and TV.
Yeah, the budget.
In a movie sense, you can say, "Hey, we have this budget to de-age them. Let's do it." In TV, to de-age somebody, one, the deep fake isn't 100% there. I mean, look at Luke Skywalker.
They did it. You could see when they did the.
Yeah. So it's not 100% there to sell it in a full series where one of the characters is the main character. But with me, it's like, and again, I'm okay with it. That's where there is pushback on Galadriel's character because they're trying to make it seem more like, to me, it seems like they're trying to make the show seem more like a coming of age for her type thing. Like,
Yeah.
she had her thing, but this is what Galadriel looks like at 3,000 years old.
Yeah, she should still look the same a little bit later, pretty much.
That's what I'm saying, like, because the show opens up with Galadriel being on the, I'm not going to say the planet, because at the time it was just a disc. We already see Galadriel being on the disc in the east with the two trees, which were a replacement of the 2 towers that Malcor destroyed once.
Right.
And then retreated to the north, stayed in the north until he felt he was strong enough, and waited till his brother, one of the other Valor, got drunk during a celebration and went and befriended a giant spider. I can't remember the spider's name. They went to the trees and he destroyed the trees while the spider sucked the power, the energy from them. And then that's what caused that.
You don't know how bad I want to just say Aragog, but I know it's not it. I know that's Harry Potter,
but I mean, it's just, yeah. I can handle recasts for Ring of Power. My thing is they don't go through puberty for centuries, like you said. To have Galadriel, who is, they condensed the timeline, yes, but we can assume there's 1,000 years of time frame there because of Numenor. Mm-hmm. Numenor has already forgotten its way. It's already cemented. So we know that there's, generation after generation after generation has gone by.
Yeah.
So we can see that there is a large time frame. And if we just said 1,000, even though in actual lore you're looking more like 4,000 years, for Galadriel to be the brat that she is right now is annoying.
Yeah.
And I get it. I still enjoy the show.
Yeah.
I see where they're going with it, but I completely and totally can understand what people are saying about her being annoying, because it's like Galadriel shouldn't be a brat right now. And the one thing that's going to lack throughout the entire series is the lack of Silmarils. That is a huge thing that is going to hurt, is not having the Silmarils. And I think that's why we've got the Second Age storyline with the
Mhm.
mention of Malcor, Morgoth, because maybe they're trying to weasel their way into making the battles of the First Age. Like somebody's probably sitting there being like, we can't really touch the Malcor Morgoth story because
They can do it in flashbacks and tell the story up.
we've never really mentioned him. We've only talked about this, and we don't have the rights to do the Silmarillion, so we can't talk about his quest for power through getting the Silmarils and stealing them from the elf and taking them up north, and then that whole battle and everything. So we could talk about the rise of Sauron, but because Sauron was his right-hand man, if we mention enough in the rise of Sauron, if we're in Rings of Power, maybe we can utilize that as an ability to go back to that. I foresee if Rings of Power is popular, I foresee another prequel series coming up. For them to be able to weasel their way around and be like, yeah, we'll just do our own version, which I'm fine with. And you know what? In 20, 30 years, let them redo it and actually get the rights to it. Yes, it'd be amazing to see it all. Amazing. But the stories are still out there. The fact that the films don't follow it doesn't negate the story. It's just another story. And the other aspect is I can sit down and I could read a short story. You can sit down and read that exact same short story. And Hollow Queen could sit down, read that exact same short story. We could all three make that short story into a movie, each one of us.
I get three different results.
3 different movies. Make that into a movie. And the one rule we would have to follow is to do a true adaptation of that short story we read.
Yeah.
Every single time, all 3 movies would still be different. People perceive things differently.
Yeah.
And that is the big kicker is, it doesn't matter. So many people, that's a big hindrance for some is they perceive, that. Going off topic here, I know I bounce all over the place, but an example would be Multiverse of Madness. You get so many people that are like, they ruined Wanda's character. Did they not watch WandaVision? WandaVision brought her character back, and they turned around and made her the bad guy again. She had her redemption. And I'm sitting there going, did you not watch WandaVision? Yeah, WandaVision had her go, I don't want to be a bad guy. But then at the very end, it shows her with the Darkhold sitting there using it. And it's already been shown that if you use that, you turn evil. It corrupts you. So, I'm sorry. Your version of her doesn't make sense. A character that can use the Darkhold and not be corrupted, that makes 0 sense because that's what the Darkhold does.
Yeah. Those are the people that have never read a comic book, never did anything.
No, these are people who read. I see this on comic book threads.
Really?
Throwing a fit about it. Yeah, Wanda should not have been She shouldn't have been the villain. They just negated the whole storyline of WandaVision. The writers didn't even look at WandaVision. No. Pay attention to.
If you're going to throw the Darkhold in there, come on, man. It was the very end scene. The very end scene of WandaVision. She was using the Darkhold, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was saying, Hollow Queen. Yeah, if you hate the Rings of Power, the appendices, the Silmarillion, letters to Tolkien, unfinished tales, they're all still there. And they're all great stories. They're great stories. And I say that because I almost said they're all great reads. They're not. I'm sorry if I upset anybody, I'm sorry. The Silmarillion is like trying to read the Bible.
It was very slow, all over the place, and full of,
It's very. It's literally, it's like trying to read the Bible. And imagine the Bible, but with a bunch of names you don't understand. Or not understand. You don't have to understand someone's name, but it's like it names it. It's like Tolkien. It almost feels like Tolkien's like, I'm going to make a book, and I'm going to make it so that when they try to pronounce the names, it's a tongue twister every time.
And it's going to start a lot of fights amongst nerds in the future.
Yeah.
Uh,
But they're great stories.
yeah.
The story, the world. I mean, that's how you know it's a great story. When you can have a book that will literally put you to sleep like the Silmarillion. I have only read it once, and it took me 6 years to read it.
Yeah, that's about right. That's about what I did.
I'm not kidding. But the story is there. It's amazing. And that's, at the same, and that's, if you want to talk about a book I mean, nerds are going to argue over that one all the time because not everyone can understand everything that's going on with it. Like, when I first read it, and they were talking about the creation of Middle Earth, they were talking about the songs and the Valor singing their songs and Malcor singing his and this and that. When I first read it, I imagined like lights singing these. Like, I didn't even imagine people, like beings with appendices, arms, and legs. I imagined like lights that would glow and come into harmony. When I first read it, that's where my brain went with it. And I guarantee you, anybody else who's read it would look at me and be like, "Are you stupid? Did you read the same book? It gives descriptions of who the Valor are." And I'm sitting there like, eventually,
yeah.
you read the other stuff, you get more information here and more information there. But when you first read that, when you first sit down and start reading the first few chapters, I mean,
yeah, that's why it took so many years to read. I was like,
hypnotic drug in the first place.
Yeah. And that's exactly right, Hollow Queen.
Exactly. I'm going to show this one here. The prose is so open. There's a lot of room to play with it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, but that was my imagination when I first sat there and read it, and it's talking about the Valor and everything going on, and then Malcor was jealous, and they start saying, like, I'm imagining these entities of light, these entities of purity in a sense.
The first time I read it. The first time I read it, I ended up like this. I swear to God, that's how I ended up when I was reading it. Although the book was a lot bigger and heavier.
It was very. It's interesting the journey that Tolkien took with Middle Earth. Like, creates The Hobbit, which is obviously a kid's book.
Harfoot, yeah.
I mean, obviously a kid's book. The Hobbit, Here and Back Again, a tale by Bilbo Baggins, with weird, annoying rhymes and songs, and I enjoyed the story, loved the story, the singing, the prose in it was. I wasn't a huge fan of that when I was a kid. When I got into high school, I was more a fan of poetry, but when I was a kid, I enjoyed Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because those songs were funny.
Yeah.
But in The Hobbit, like, it was more. Like, a lot of times I skipped past the songs. I read them one time, and then, like, anytime I read it again, it's like, start.
Yeah, I discovered poetry and
the story. But then when he comes out with Lord of the Rings, it's like an enthralled, bam, beautiful, beginning to end, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's a good description of The Hobbit.
You're like, okay, this book is for kids. Yeah. This book is for adults. This book is for people who need a nap.
Yeah, Hollow Queen just said it perfectly. Meant to be read to children at night, like one chapter at a time at night at bedtime. And the parent reading can go nuts with My mom used to do that.
But see, I'm not crazy. Hollow Queen had similar experience when she read the book for the first time.
Yep, they were both.
I'm glad. I don't know. She's talking. I'm assuming you're talking about the imagination of what it is. It's not. It wasn't so grounded in like human form. It was more of a like mine. I remember it specifically because I've always loved Lord of the Rings, and that book was a lot harder for me. As everyone knows who watches this channel, I am horrible with remembering names.
You and me both.
And that one was a really hard one for me to remember names. I mean, I'm the kind of person that I will know you. I can work with you for years and years and years. And if I go a month without using your name and I run into you at the store, I'm like, hey, how's it going? How's it been?
Unless I talk to someone every day like that, I'm like, hey, you, how are you?
Yeah. Yeah, she was right. The lights and sound.
Yeah, the lights thing.
Like, I imagined, like, every character, the way it was described to me was more of a light, a color light and like
celestial kind of thing.
Celestial, yeah, it felt very celestial to me. And then it wasn't, and that they were trying to form their world. They were trying to ground themselves, and then that was what the song was for. And Malcor wanted to make it his own, and they, and then they got into it. But I remember that thought process vividly because it was somewhat like the book was giving me a little bit of a trip going. I had this weird imaginary trip going on from reading it.
Yeah, I mean, with The Hobbit, I liked it. I mean, the poetry, when I read it, I got into poetry in high school because there were a couple girls I liked, and they used to do the poetry thing. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I love poetry. Frost, yeah. And I just kind of got into it a little bit. But
I like some. I don't like all.
No.
With me, it's got there's a situation. But I like this one here. Let's go. How the Queen can remember all the names of the Silmarillion. It's lists and lists and lists of names.
Oh my God.
No, she can't. She can't. She corrected it.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to say, more power to you if you can do that. Holy crap.
And then just like you, Robert, and just like me, and I'm sure everyone else out there were parts of the Silmarillion where you had to nap.
Oh, I know. Oh,
like anytime I tell somebody, like they're like, oh, the Silmarillion, I better read that. I like Lord of the Rings, and I enjoyed The Hobbit. I better read Silmarillion. What's it about? What's it like? I was like, oh, it's about 5,000 years worth of stuff put into a Bible.
Yeah.
They're like, well, yeah, a Bible, but like, I'm like, no, it reads like the Bible.
I've had one
Sit down
person,
and read the Bible. If you can read the Bible and enjoy it, you can read the Silmarillion and enjoy it.
I had one person I've ever met that just read through. Oh, so the Silmarillion. He loved it. He loved them all. He didn't fall asleep. He kept going. Like he did his thesis in college. He was a literature. He's got his doctorate in literature. That was his thesis. Was Tolkien and all that stuff. And I'm looking at him like, okay, yeah, all right. And he was like you and I get into the discussions like this. Oh my God, he was like practically giving me class. One of my patients. He's like, I'm sitting there doing the same thing I did in school. Yeah. But
yeah, and that's the thing. You get different levels of it. Different levels.
He's the only one I've ever met like that. Everybody else was like, okay, I read it. It was good. Boring parts. Some parts were drawn out longer than they should be. Mm-hmm. It's like reading War and Peace when they paid you by the letter,
Yeah. Like I had somebody tell me, they were like, oh, the dialogue in Rings of Power is god awful. And I'm like, yeah, some of the dialogue could be better, but there isn't a show out there that doesn't have bad dialogue.
Yeah, really.
And they were like, I have not seen any. They're like, every good show I've seen hasn't had bad dialogue. And I'm sitting there going, well, your life is full of bad dialogue because that line you just said is shit. Like I didn't say that, but I'm like,
it's like then you've watched.
Like if this is a movie, there's the bad dialogue in this one.
Okay. Oh my God.
I was like, everybody. I know people that I wish didn't exist, not in a death sense, but in a why are you here situation. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying like. I know that came out mean, but I didn't mean that in a mean sense. I just meant like if this were a movie, you'd be a character that they would wish you weren't in it.
I mean,
like, why did they write them in there?
I mean, you can be excited about something and think, oh, I watched the show and there's no bad dialogue. As much as I am into even Star Trek, as you can probably tell, there's still some bad dialogue.
Star Trek. You like Star Trek?
Yeah, I've mentioned it once or twice.
Finally. I finally converted pizza into liking Star Trek.
Yeah, I've mentioned it once or twice.
Oh, speaking of which.
Uh-oh.
Star Wars, all right.
Nice. That is awesome.
Yeah, little show and tell.
Ah. Look at that.
And.
Oh, man.
Star Trek 3 and
no, it's wet there. Just put it right here. Look at that.
Star Trek 4. And then there is
oh yeah, I got those. I have those.
Star Trek Blueprints. Yeah.
I have the one too of the Klingon bird of prey. and I have them framed. I have them in frames. When you open them up,
Clans Constitution class USS Enterprise. The complete set of 12 authentic blueprints of the fabulous Starship Enterprise.
The bird, right? Enterprise.
oh, they were the models.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've got the Starfleet technical manual.
Nice.
So now I can
Hey,
read the manual. And
Have you been to Walmart lately?
I have. My WalMarts don't carry crap. I mean, they do, but
Ours
and then
just started.
there's this manual that is going to go to Pizza because Pizza told me that
I
he
love
had it and doesn't have it anymore.
My first wife, anything that I had that she didn't like, that she felt was taking up room, slowly disappeared without me noticing, so to speak. Like I would notice and look for it, and she would play dumb.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of T-shirts from when I was in the Navy. Like I collected them from different countries and things.
Yeah.
Then, like one place we went to the Daiquiri Palace. It was called in Palma, Mallorca, Spain. And if you drank 5 daiquiris, like they were Slurpee type, like a Fat Tuesdays or something, you got a free T-shirt. Well, our senior medical officer came up to us all on the beach the one day where the place was, threw money down on the bar and said, I want all my boys leaving here with T-shirts. So we were drinking. We were having a good time. And all the waitresses at the place, the little Spanish girls, were signing our shirts for us. So we'd have like something to collect when we went home. Well, I had it. It was a T-shirt, said the Daiquiri Palace, and a bunch of girls' names all over it, and autographs and little things they wrote. And well, she didn't like that. She got all jealous and stuff like that. She would throw it away. I was mad. Oh, here's my little thing for the day.
Tricorder. Let's see.
This is the Art Asylum.
Yeah. Medical tricorder.
Yeah, it's got the little.
Well, see, Rob, and that's why this is Pizzas.
Yeah,
I like having Star Trek stuff, but if my guy Pizza, he's the medical guy.
Yeah, this opens up, and you got the.
You got a replacement for it.
The scanner here.
Nice.
Yeah, you close it, it goes off, and it just comes on when you open it. The lights. It's even got McCoy talking in here.
Radiation burns, internal injuries for certain.
It's not real loud, but it's still.
Hey.
I saw it in the shop, my buddy's comic book shop.
Oh, you had to have it.
I was like, trying to play it cool. I'm like, oh yeah, how much is the thing there? That thing. He's like, he goes, come on, Rob, I can see your face.
He's like, I can see you just like did a backflip.
Yeah, he's like, tell me, someone who doesn't know any better. Nice.
Newsstand edition.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, what sucks though is if you look right here.
Oh, it's got the rip in it, yeah.
And if you look up here, you can't really see it too well. You can see it now. Right
Oh,
there,
yeah.
rub, and then there's rub on it. It's not in the greatest shape, so it's not like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth like the newsstand edition would be. I did not have this book, and I'd rather have a low grade copy than no copy at all. And then speaking of WandaVision earlier,
the one with your hands on.
the first appearance of Agatha Harkness.
Oh, there you go.
Now this one is not quite a high dollar one because it is a pence variant.
Yeah.
It is a UK variant, which came out the same year or same time. They just called it. A lot of people refer to it. Oh, it's a second printing because it was put on the printing press after the first one was printed. I'm sorry, if it was printed the same time, they didn't wait months to release it. And a lot of research actually shows it was printed first. But it is what it is. But it's another key. It's a first appearance of Agatha Harkness. So I was like, yeah.
All right, here you go. You see this? There. From what Hollow Queen just said. This, I take the conventions with me. My medical kit. There. Ready for this?
There you go.
I have the hypo spray. I can load it in. I have.
I'm gonna make you Big guy on campus.
There you go. You can show the scanners and stuff.
There you go.
And my favorite, Hollow Queen was saying, I have all the little Playmates ones. I have the medical tricorder here. I used to run up on my kids and be like, "It says you're a geek, man. You got to go with it." But I even have the little portable hypo spray from Voyager. You pull it up to whatever the dosage is, and then you just pop it through. And we got the dermal regenerator prop. And the laser scalpel that goes with it.
There you go. Does it actually have a laser in it?
No, I wanted to do that, but I don't know how to do those kind of electronics. Because I wanted to take it.
You know how to do those kind of electronics, Pizza?
Yeah.
You go to the dollar store and you buy one of those little tiny laser pointers.
Well, I have a whole bunch of them. I also have about 4 or 5 of the Entertainment Earth phasers in there, the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw people modifying them with lasers in them.
Yeah.
For when I was in the military still, I have about 4 or 5 of the 10 gigawatt lasers, for spotting things, targets and stuff. They're like, like a good one. I can pop balloons with this thing. I wanted to take one of those and put it in one of the phasers to play with, but
if the battery power it needs would be big enough, all you have to do, it's the wiring. You just wire it.
Yeah, I got to figure it out.
Well, you would look at it. It's going to show red and black wires in it. So if you need your button down here, you would just extend the wires between the button and the light.
I gotta see. I can fix a lot of stuff, and I can be handy. And the funny thing is, I used to fix medical equipment. I learned how to do that in the Navy as one of my jobs. But I just haven't been brave enough to try and fit a laser yet. Yeah, I have so many props, Hollow Queen. Everybody, it's just, I have all the Art Asylum phasers. I have the real communicators. I have a couple tricorders now, the classic ones, and I have about three or four of the Playmates ones.
Crashly's been trying some different designs out.
Different designs?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
This is one of them that she's trying. Now, I mean, it's got some flaws, so this one is...
Excuse me? It's got some what?
Oh, wait, let me
Flaws, doesn't it? Oh, you took it off. Never mind.
Yeah, it ain't got no flaws.
Sorry. All right. This is not... This is a particular item. This one is not going in the shop per se, so... But...
Oh, that's cool. She's got to make me one with little Star Trek symbols all over, little Delta shields.
We will have to. I've been looking into that. There you go.
This is one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah.
The QMX version.
No, I think epoxy should be fine. Do they recommend you spray it with sealer?
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the QMX one.
Hello Queen says, "Hey."
Hey girl, hey. Did she like it?
Yeah.
Ask Halloween.
She said,
Ask Halloween
"Beautiful."
if we should seal it before epoxy.
Oh, put that back.
I would like to get the prop sometime, but I'm out of room for the crap I've got.
This is my pride and joy right here. Being a Klingon on the show and everything.
Mm-hmm.
This was screen used.
Oh,
This is an actual Martok badge.
there you go. There
It's
you
got
go.
the lettering on it and the house name, everything on it. I've seen the other ones that they have put out that are a little more jagged, more to the point. Like, no, this is one of the real ones I got. And I'm like,
That's authentic right there.
yeah, that's the good one.
Speaking of authentic in Star Trek, have you guys watched Masked Singer this week?
Shatner,
Yeah.
first one to go, man. You knew that guy was going.
Oh, they were there. You knew only one was staying,
Oh, yeah.
but
But I mean, and he's like 90 years old. How often?
I'm scared. The dude's checking off bucket list items. It's got me worried. He's gone
Oh,
to
yeah.
space. He's doing all this other stuff, and I'm sitting there going, "Man, I had the opportunity to meet that guy, and I blew it."
We still have your autograph. We still have your picture here. That's in the box that keeps building bigger and bigger.
Maybe some other time. Maybe he's not done with the whole circuit yet. Maybe
No, he's still doing them. He's supposed to be next year, Philly Fan Expo.
Maybe I'll get another chance.
I think it's in April. April or May.
I'll start saving now. That's what I'll do. I'll start saving now.
You got a place to stay, so you can come here and go.
Other things. Got some new stuff in. I've been waiting to come in.
Uh-oh.
We got our new boxes.
Oh, look at that.
Poiple.
Look at that.
Got our new boxes in for the business. Just been trying to getting things more branded out. Ferdinand?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of fabric coming to start doing the shirts for the clubs, and I'm going to start putting them on eBay.
To give you an idea why those boxes fell.
There he is.
That's why the box fell.
Ferdinand. He's like, smile, cheese.
He's like, did you just put me on camera without my consent? But yeah, man, it's been fun.
Yeah,
busy. But yeah, no, I can't wait till I can get more stuff done. No, as I was saying, I got sidetracked. And I was trying to remember. I was looking into the copyright situation.
Yeah,
and
he is.
As long as I can get them, like, just off enough, I can do it. We've run into. I was doing some more research, and yeah, they've been cracking down on normal stuff. Like, for example, if I were to, since it's a business, and say I were to make you a pen,
yeah,
and it were to have legitimate copyright material, protected material on it, and you were to have bought that pen,
yeah.
If it was a gift from me to you, that's a gift,
right?
You can do that. But if you were to have bought that pen from me, I could be liable,
right?
So,
oh yeah, and I know the people that do Star Trek do not play around anymore. Ever since the early 90s, we used to go to conventions. You could find uniforms all over the place, like ones that they would make and bring. Props, totally unlicensed props back in the day. Tricorders, pads, anything. I was at one convention where they were coming around. The one day they came around the first day with cease and desist orders. Like there was a lawyer, a bunch of like sheriffs or whatever from the place. Cease and desist orders. You had to pull it all off. The next day, they came back. If the stuff was still for sale, they were confiscating it. It was being like confiscated as I forget what they called it, but it was just copyright infringement.
Yeah, it's insane.
Halloween's doing the crochet. Val does crochet like crazy. I actually bought her this book years ago, like 10 years ago. 1800s Irish crochet. It was all these things like old Irish crochet. She's like, even the directions, she had to relearn the directions because they were different from what they are today with that stuff. Like one of the things was a baby blanket. It was like a christening bonnet that turned into this, that turned into that. And she was, nerds in general, crafters, we're all kind of into the crafting thing a little bit because, let's face it, Paramount, for me to get this at Paramount, licensed, whatever, you're going to pay out the wazoo. They are definitely ones that just bend you over, no dinner, no drinks, no nothing.
The kicker is here's the problem, and it's not just having to pay out the wazoo. The situation is they don't. It doesn't matter whether it's not a matter of pay. Yeah, you can't even get a price. They don't care. You're not going to get a heads up. Like you could be like, "Ooh, I've got this product. I could make this product. I want to do this with this product." You contact them. You email them. You call them. You send this and that. You never get a response. You don't get a response.
No.
You gotta have your foot. You gotta have 2 feet in the door and the hand prying it open to be able to get them to go. Okay, we'll take your money so you can sell your stuff.
Well, I mean, Ruby. It was Ruby's. It's not Ruby's anymore. They changed names or something now. That does their costumes. They're cheap Chinese costumes. You have the regular version and the deluxe version. Now, one shirt, like the Discovery shirts when they did the first Discovery uniforms, $150 for the jacket. Good, it was okay. The deluxe ones are okay, but then if you want pants to go with it, $200. When I have the patterns for all this stuff because they sell the patterns, so they can't stop me from making it for myself and the group. This cost me a little, like I bought a whole bunch of fabric so I can make a few of them. But by going through what I use for this, it cost me about $12 to make.
Yeah.
The badge, they charge a lot for the badges, QMX. I mean, this one wasn't so bad. It was about $10.
Yeah. Well, you got to factor in
one.
And see, here's the thing, right? With your uniforms,
yeah,
yours are inspired by.
Right.
Yours are not replicas. They are inspired by. Now, if you were to actually get your hands on the actual pattern that they use to make the uniforms for the show and follow that pattern, then it's no longer an inspired by. It's an actual license. It's a replica.
Well, here's the thing. If I just sell the clothing, I don't market it as Star Trek or inspired. A judge ruled that you can't copyright fashion or something like that.
Exactly.
So I could sell whatever I want that looks like it. But I just can't list it as Star Trek or Starfleet or anything with their copyright name.
It was the same thing when people, they were cracking down on crocheted Grogu's. At the time, they were the child.
Baby Yoda. Yeah.
Star Wars hadn't started releasing merch when season 1 of Mandalorian came out, and everybody wanted merch for Christmas.
Right.
So people were making a killing on Etsy.
Oh, yeah.
All this Baby Yoda stuff. And Disney went in and started doing cease and desist on all of it. Like, it was getting shot down left and right. The ones that were able to get through were the ones that called it, they would say Baby Alien or Baby Goblin. Stuff like that. And not even call it Star Wars, as long as it was handmade.
Right.
They were able to get away with it. It's when you start marketing it as
their product.
This is here. Would you like a plushie of Star Wars the Child? No, that's going to get you in trouble. But inspired by is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
As long as it's a handmade item. But licensing is a huge thing. Like, in the sewing business, or not business, but in sewing, if you were to go to the store and you were to buy Star Wars material, you were to go home with that Star Wars material and make pillowcases out of it, you cannot resell those pillowcases.
Really?
Yeah, really. That is licensed. When you purchase it from the store, you are buying it for personal use.
Oh.
Because it is material, it is being used for that. Now, you can go to the store and you can buy a Star Wars toy, and you can sell that Star Wars toy. You can take that Star Wars toy and you can modify it away from being its original purpose and still sell it.
Because I know someone who's making... I saw at one of the conventions. She was getting Star Trek fabric from Joann's and making hot plate holders out of them and selling them at the convention.
And as long as no one's paying attention, she can get away with it. But they can technically crack down on her for that because the material is being sold. The basically what the copyright agreement with that is you are buying the material for your licensed use of what that material could be used for.
There's Ferdinand.
So yes, you are you are transforming it into something. But you are transforming it into a product that product is made for. Whereas here's an example, if I were to buy a Star Wars button and turn it into a cover minder, I would be selling a deformed Star Wars button that I purchased. You know, it wasn't bought for my use as a cover minder. It was bought for my use as a button, and I can resell what I buy.
Oh, okay.
And if I buy it and turn it into a cover minder and resell it, I resell it as a button converted into a cover minder. I'm reselling this button. I've made modifications to it so you could use it this way. It was not the button does not have a purpose of becoming a cover minder. And that's where the difference is. Material has the purpose of becoming a shirt, or it has the purpose of becoming a finished sewn project.
Yeah.
For your use. You know, it's the same with movies. You turn around, if you were to turn around and get a projector outside, you were to go into your yard and you were to put a movie on in your yard, on a projector, on a screen outside, and you'd have all your neighbors in the neighborhood come and watch that movie, you're breaking the law.
Yeah, I knew that. Is that like if you charge for them to come and see it, you're breaking the law?
No, it's...
But if you just say, hey, come over to my house, watch a movie.
Inside the house is different. Outside, you are projecting it into a public style forum.
Because I wanted to get one of those inflatable screens for the backyard that you can put up every now and do the projected movie out back, like once, like in the summertime.
Yeah, and you can do that for your own personal entertainment. And if other people see it, other people see it. But if you are inviting a neighborhood over,
gotcha,
you are making it known that you are inviting more people over. You've got your friends, you got a little party going on, and it's, you know, it's your own little thing. It's not a block party in a sense. That's your own personal entertainment. But at the same time, they're not going to crack down on that because they know they ain't going to get any money out of that.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You know?
But the moment they start seeing somebody make money off products.
Yeah, I think someone was telling me they keep an eye out for stuff like that, but if you're not making over a certain amount, they really don't bug you. They might send you a letter, you know.
What it boils down to is these companies, all these companies, what they do is, all right, say you've got a company. Say you've got a company. You want to be protected as a company. So who do you get to protect you? You've got insurance. What's the other thing you get to protect you?
The law.
Lawyers.
Yeah.
Lawyers. Well, lawyers aren't cheap.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
What is the best way? If you're a company, what's the best way to supplement your lawyers? And this is what these companies do. They go to these law firms and they sit down and they go, this is a list of IPs that I have that I want protected. Your job as my lawyer, you know, there's specific lawyers. It's not like you're going to get a family law lawyer to do it. It's, you know, a copyright lawyer. They literally go, pay for yourself. So the attorney, like that, that's the thing. The more people they catch infringing on copyrights, the more money they make as a law firm.
Okay.
That's their sole thing. We got this giant client that's got all these IPs. We'll go out there and find, you know, as many as we can. They've still got to go through the process. They can't sue you immediately. They have to send you a cease and desist.
Right.
They'll send you the cease and desist. You don't, then they sue you, then you get money, then they get paid. They get a cut out of it. The company makes money. That's why you read these articles. You read that one about the kid in school that did something with Disney and they got sued.
I don't remember.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a kid did something with a Disney IP, and they got a lawsuit, cease and desist, and you know, and everybody was dogging Disney. And Disney's like, hold up, no, we had no clue this was going on, and they didn't because they've got a team of lawyers doing that stuff. The people at Disney, they don't sit there and read, you know, every little piece of law that comes by them. That's what they hire lawyers to do.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be an accountant to run a business because you can hire an accountant to run the accounting side of the business. You don't have to be a lawyer to run a business because you can hire a lawyer to run the legal side of the business. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They give it to them and they say, here, pay for yourself. The big clients, small clients are going to be like, here's my money.
Yeah.
When you're Disney, when you're Paramount, when you're these huge conglomerates, it's like, it's no longer a lawyer sitting there going, why should I represent you? It's the company going, why should you represent me?
Right.
You know, the roles switch. So it's like, pay for yourself and you're hired. Which one's going to get me the most amount of money?
Yeah.
But it is getting late, guys.
Yeah.
I still have some stuff to do, clean up. I was so mad today. So mad.
What'd you do?
My paper cutter broke
Uh-oh.
earlier this week. So I've been behind in orders and trying to get caught up, working on getting caught up. Got today's orders out, or yesterday's orders out today, but they haven't scanned them at the post office yet, so they should scan first thing in the morning. I've got a bunch of today's orders done, almost ready to go out, and then I've got all tomorrow's orders that I'm working on. But my paper cutter broke at the beginning of the week, which is what put me behind. Plus, Tuesday, I worked from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Oh.
I didn't work the full time. I have an hour drive time to work to that hour from my house to the auction house, get the truck, get the trailer, get the stuff, supplies loaded up, and then about 2-hour drive from there to
Where you're going.
Missouri, where it's going. Then load up 2 trailers in 95-degree weather.
Ugh.
Finish up, clean up, get in the truck, drive the trailer back 2.5 hours to Lynn, and then my hour drive home. I was gone from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. I got home at 9:30 with all that drive time involved. So Tuesday was like didn't get anything done. Well, I went on and I was trying to find a paper cutter that would work. And I kept reading reviews. This was bad. That was bad. This was bad. But there were different aspects of the cutters that I wanted to test out. So I was like, well, I need a cheap one to at least replace the cheap one I've been using for now. And then once I test out some of these features, I can see if it's what I want.
Yeah.
The reviews didn't say anything negative about it, really. Right? So I got it in the mail, and I go outside and I'm looking for this box, paper cutter, and they're all boxes like the size that just fell down here. I open it up, and it's got a box. One of them has the paper cutter in it. I pull it out. This is the paper cutter. Like, are you kidding me? That thing's supposed to cut 20 pages in one swoop? That must have a sharp blade, right?
Yeah, right.
Sharp blade. Real sharp blade. Real sharp blade.
Oh,
There's
God.
no blade. It's just because it's blunt up against that. I put 5 pieces of paper on it, and it butchered them. Butchered them. My biggest thing was I wanted this to help hold the paper down. That actually works. So now I know that that's a feature I want on my paper cutter. I'm actually going to go with something a little bit better. I'm returning this and getting my money back.
You got to go to one of them, like you're in an auction house, get one of them. You remember the old ones in the elementary school? Those big.
It's hard to find those anymore,
Those
especially with sharp blades.
Yeah.
No, the one I'm looking at's about $400.
Oh, God.
But it's pretty beast. So
My buddy has a printing shop, and I used to watch him with those the electric ones. You just put the stuff in, it comes up, holds it, cuts like 300-400 sheets in a shot.
I can get one of those for about $600, but I worry about it. $650. I worry about how well it will work. I don't want it to screw it up. I don't want to put it in there and it mess it up. But
I wouldn't want to have that laying around with kids in the house. You come home, though.
This would be something that they wouldn't be able to get to.
Yeah.
And the one I was looking at, it's got infrared lights. It's got a safety. If you put your hand in it,
It shuts off.
It shuts off. You can't have anything like you put the paper in it, lock it in, and it's got lasers like infrareds all the way across. You break that beam, it ain't working.
I still want a 3D printer in the worst way. I want one. How big does that print out?
Not very.
Yeah, I'm talking one.
This is give you an idea. these off. To give you an idea, this is the build plate.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it prints decent. It prints bigger than the last one did. I mean, that's the build plate.
I want to get something that I can print out. Like, I have all these files. I literally have files sitting here. Star Trek badges, phasers, communicator parts.
You could print those on this.
I have the Mandalorian armor files too. Like, it'll print out a Mando helmet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this isn't big enough to print a helmet.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be.
They have ones that you can get the files that'll print it in thirds that it might be able to do, but maybe.
It might be big enough. I don't know. I haven't tried all that with it. This print's a lot bigger than the old one we had. I'll tell you that. It's only a couple $100. About $250. But then you got to buy the filament. But I don't have the time. That's why I went with Bella Art de Nicole on the paper, the release paper containers. Because I've got my own design that I would have made if I had the time to make it. I don't have the time to make it. That thing would probably take about 10 hours total to print everything out, put it together, and that's one item. So at that point, I would only be able to print 2 a day. Even if it was 8 hours, that's only 3 a day. That's nonstop printing 3 a day. So I'm still only looking at 2 a day. At 2 a day, if I sold them for $40, that's only $80. Who makes $80 a day?
Yeah, right.
And is like, ooh, that's great. No, it's not great.
Because I have the files for the new Strange New Worlds phaser and the new Strange New Worlds communicator.
Yeah.
To print them out. And they print out in pieces, so I'm sure it's not. But I don't know how long they're going to take to print, what they would do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Either way, I mean, they're fun to play with. I do plan eventually on getting into that a little bit more. But right now, these are...
Here's my buddy.
These are the big timing. 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. Halloween, if you're still in here, are you excited? But we got to get going.
Yeah.
We are going to, I'd say, 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now, we need to definitely talk about the Hocus Pocus 2 thing. So,
that's going to be a big one.
Yep. But catch you all later. As always, live long and prosper. This is the way.
Go ahead.
Nerdsters out.
Yeah.